edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. And as always, I'm here with Zoo and P-Bush. How you guys doing?
It's a rough weekend for the Bears, man. I can't even. I don't even have words, but I'll probably come up with something throughout this episode. So I'll hand it off to Zoo, and he can say whatever he wants.
It was a sad week. My fantasy superstar, Christian McCaffrey, is injured again. My go-to, my day one traded for the dude, got injured after 1 week.
Yeah. Straight hamstring for Christian McCaffrey. Good thing, though, is I think, they say now it's a couple of weeks. So hopefully in like maybe 2 or 3 weeks when stuff starts getting ratcheted up, he'll be back. If you're number one on the waiver wire, Chuba Hubbart's going to be a nice little pickup for a couple of weeks.
I already got Chuba Hubbard. I was prepared, baby. I got insurance.
Yeah, good handcuff. Yeah, but, we're going to be going into, the standard protocols of NFL Week 3. I felt like there's a couple of statements that were made, good and bad. Just a few to come off the top is the Rams-Bucks game was a huge anticipated game. A lot of people were saying that was going to be the game of the year. And I think it lived up to the hype in terms of the Rams. Matthew Stafford showed me a lot. Never really been a fan of Matthew Stafford, but he showed up in that game and, got a couple passes to a couple of his targets. Last night, Dallas, kind of putting their foot down on the NFC East and saying they're kind of the best team there. So I'm going to ask the guys, I'm going to go with you, Zoo. What was your biggest, takeaway from Week 3?
The Los Angeles Chargers. My God, this team is freaking legit, man. One. Oh, my. Dude, that game was incredible. Incredible football, man. Like Patrick Mahomes, he had an off game. But that Chargers defense forced Patrick Mahomes to be a turnover machine, man. He was more Brett Favre than Pat Mahomes with some of those turnovers. Like some of them, they were on him. Like he got hit, trying to force it to Travis Kelce. You just can't do that. You just can't do that against a team that's, man, they're locked. They're loaded. They got rid of their head coach. And look what happens when you get a real head coach in.
Yeah.
Look at that. Like,
good things.
Them do it in the clutch. Like, they are poised. Like, my God, Justin Herbert, man. Jesus Christ. 4 touchdowns, 281, 26 for 38. This dude's in his second year, man, against the Kansas City Chiefs. Outplayed Patrick Mahomes, man. And, oh, my Lord, fantasy wild card, Mike Williams. Oh, my goodness. This dude was a first-round pick a couple of years back. Like, he was I think he was a top 10 pick. Like, people thought this guy was going to be legit. He has all the physical traits, like big athlete, tall dude, like a Devontae Adams size. Like, he's a big dude, red zone target. But he's always been, garbo. But then this year, he turns it around. Maybe it's the new head coach. Maybe it's Justin Herbert. But, man, 122 on 9 targets, man. And some of those touchdowns, man, immaculate, man. Dude, like, and oh my God, that Chargers offense is locked and loaded. Austin Eckler is being a beast. Obviously, Mike Williams with Keenan Allen, like that's just a nice receiving combination. And their defense is ruthless. So, my God, the LA Chargers, man, that was a phenomenal game. And that team, it's turning out to be, I think they're a top 5 team in the NFL right now.
Wow. I mean, they better be in. I would probably move them, especially with the Broncos in first place there. I don't think that's going to hold up. They really haven't played much competition.
Offense,
so,
mediocre.
It's really going to come down to, and I'd consider the Raiders are pretty legit this year. They have a damn good offense as well. Once again, they've come through in, couple
man, they got some
plays.
Weird games, man. They choked so hard against the Dolphins.
They did.
Like, I am super mad because I played the kicker on the Raiders, and he got 2 field goals in overtime. And I lost by 5 points, and the kicker got 6 points in overtime because
That's crazy.
Dude, I would have won with McCaffrey playing 1 quarter. One quarter. But, man, the Raiders choking. Freaking Jacoby Brissett turns into like Russell Wilson, making some incredible plays to force overtime. But man, oh man, that game, I never been so pissed off at a football game my entire life.
Yep, and Zoo, I had the Raiders plus 3.5, and when they couldn't stop them, minus 3.5, and they couldn't stop on the goal line, they allowed Jacoby Brissett to run for the touchdown. I mean, he threw 49 times. That's not going to be a winning.
That ain't gonna work.
Brissett throwing 49 times is just almost double what he's normally asked to do.
And they pulled off the 2-point conversion too.
Yeah, it was clutch. I mean, hey, I'm always about a good game, but when it ruins my parlays, man, come on. But look, man, Zoo, to your point about the Chargers, I think one of the biggest things to me was obviously Herbert. We know he can play well, but he closed out a close game. I think that was, the biggest thing that I think Sean has brought up the past couple of weeks is he's not very good historically at closing tight games within
Anthony
3 points,
Lynn.
6 points. Yeah, unbelievable play calling. They know exactly where Herbert wants to go with the ball. The weapons that he has, phenomenal. Mike Williams is a stud, a guy that you want on the outside opposite of Keenan Allen. But I was actually most impressed with their ability to keep Kelsey and Tyreek Hill out of the end zone. Tyreek Hill's had 2 pretty quiet weeks in a row. And by not allowing them to get, behind the defense, I know I said the same thing about the Ravens last week. You're limiting their massive plays that pretty much have given the Chiefs wins the past 3 years since they've been playing with Mahomes. So that defensive performance was, I know it was only a 6-point game, and that's really all you can ask for is to hold the Chiefs to 24 points, man. Yeah. So yeah, Mahomes, he tried to force it a little too much. The first pick was off the tight end's hands, but it was a no-look pass. Why are you no-looking?
Oh, yeah. He was trying to do
no-look. Throw him the ball.
That was just being too flashy.
He's being too flashy, and I think, he's still – you could tell he's still getting a hang of reading defenses. I think he just had so much talent that at the end of the day, he was just kind of throwing the ball up, and, Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce or Sammy Watkins be Cole Hardman. The Chargers forced them to have Andy Reid use their other playmakers, right? I think Hardman scored. CEH actually had a pretty nice game.
Yeah, 100-yard game.
100-yard game.
About time that guy showed up, man.
Exactly.
He's been doo-doo, man, for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and maybe they should start utilizing him more. But, Kelsey's always going to get his yardage. Still broke 100. But as long as you can keep those big plays. Yards. Yeah, unbelievable, man. He's a wide receiver.
Monster.
Tight end position. But Zoo, I think a big game for me, and I know it wasn't, crucial for a team, but that Vikings win against Seattle was huge. An 0-2 team, we were talking about them last week. I think we all agreed that the Vikings were probably the flukiest 0-2 team, especially with the first 2 games they played. And they, Seattle comes in, they do lose Lockett for a little bit, but their ability to just throw Madison in the game and trust their O-line to give him holes and to run through, man. He had what? I think he had like 28 touches and 170 scrimmage yards.
Over 100 scrimmage yards. Like
unbelievable.
He would pretty much put up Dalvin Cook numbers with them.
Yeah, I mean they beat the Seahawks by 13 without their best player. Kirk Cousins is having an immaculate season, hasn't thrown a pick yet, and I think they have the most efficient offense in the NFL through the first 3 weeks. If you're looking at minimal turnovers, good running game, unbelievable weapons at wide.
Yeah, there were weapons out wide, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, they're 3 deep.
Justin Jeff and Adam Thielen, like that is a hell of a wide receiver.
Osborne's good too.
Osborne is a third receiver. He's been putting up numbers too.
And I mean, look, if it's sad that they're 1-2. I know they're in my my rival division, but look, they're a stud team. I think they're going to end up being a rebound throughout the year once they start playing Detroit twice. They should probably get 2 wins out of that one. They'll probably get 2 wins out of the Bears. Let's be completely honest here. But yeah, no, the Vikings, I thought, they continued to impress me, but they actually got their first win. So that was definitely the most crucial win outside of the Chargers, forcing the Chiefs to below 500.
Yeah.
So, shout out Andy Reid, though. Hope he's doing well. He's doing all right.
Yeah, I think they said he was doing well in the hospital, but man, oh man. But I got to talk about this ending. One of the greatest endings of football I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. The greatest kicker of all time, Justin Tucker, with a 66-yarder.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's an automatic first ballot.
You should be a first ballot. Yeah, he should definitely be first ballot.
Just induct him next week, dude. Honestly, at this point.
Dude, that field goal was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
I've never seen it hit like
the. It's it and it drives back in the net.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Like, you know how much power that is, like to hit the crossbar and to go right into the net as smooth as it did. Like,
it's got to be.
I don't know, man.
Perfectly. It had.
I know a lot of people.
Perfect spin.
I know a lot of people are on Adam Vinatieri for good reason because he was kind of like catalyst for a lot of the Patriots Super Bowl wins and things like that. But man, Justin Tucker is he's different. He's just different. Man. He's different. I don't think he's a guy kicking wise that I would take over him.
Not at all.
Because I don't know if Vinatieri was making like 55, 60 yarders consistently. No. I don't think he was.
You even saw Zoo, the Mason Crosby. He was saying, I saw that. He goes, just give me 55 yards. I can't make it what Tucker did. But the Lions,
that was a clutch kick too.
I think the United States just hates Detroit, man. I mean, that missed delay a game penalty. I know that the refs have released statements about it and all that, but
that pisses me off too when they do that. Like it's like I don't want to. I don't want to hear that. Like, no, you can't go back and fix it. You're not going to change.
I don't even know how they
like,
missed it because it was like really obvious.
It was like a second and a half. It was at least a full second beyond the clock's hitting zero there, unless the clock was wrong, which you know what, they could always just say that, right, and blame the game clock operator. But the Ravens should not have been in that position. The Lions just couldn't get, I think their respective backfield, they had a touchdown each. Goff, couldn't really get a wide open, throwing game going. Not that he has too many options. They couldn't really get Hawkinson going that much. But look, man, Lamar's he's not playing that efficiently at this point. I think he had 15.
Marquise Brown is atrocious.
A lot of drops.
He cost me my fantasy game this week. Absolutely. If he would have caught those 2 touchdowns, I would have won. So, and
they should have easily won this game. Yeah. Now they're still somehow giving him targets and all that, but hey, Mark Andrews had a nice game
because he got no receivers, man.
Yeah, Sammy's not playing, is he?
Yeah. He is playing, but he sucks, man. Sammy Watkins.
I thought he was hurt.
Sammy Watkins. Yeah, Marquise Brown's their number one option. Like they haven't found him. They had that. They drafted the rookie Rashad Perriman.
Yeah,
Bateman. He's coming back this week.
He's coming back this week. So he's been injured. They've been looking for a wide receiver, like a legit wide receiver one for the longest time, and they have failed. And with those drops from Marquise Brown, man, no, man, you gotta run the football, man. You can't trust your dudes to catch a ball, man. And they were uncontested. It's not like they were tough catches. Like it's legit wide open in stride, perfect throw. He just butterfingers, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got to step up.
Is he the cousin Antonio Brown, man? Because they ain't the same, man. They ain't built the same, man. Like what the heck, man? I've never seen AB drop passes like that. Marquise Brown did it twice in one game. Embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him in that game.
Embarrassing, man.
I guess they were sleepwalking because it's Detroit. I don't know. Maybe people are just thinking like. We'll just go up here.
They just beat the Chiefs, man. They're like all-time highs, and the Lions. Like you go from beating one of the best teams and playing one of the worst teams, man. They chilling, man.
Classic letdown game. Yeah, after you beat, you got over the hump with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely.
I think Dallas for me is just kind of I don't want to be like because Dallas is a classic team of like as soon as you want to believe in them, they like end up losing games that you don't think they should lose. So the jury's still out on them. But I will say their defense looks a whole lot better than what it did last year.
Absolutely.
And Trevon Diggs is starting to become like in that class of like Jair Alexander and Jalen Ramsey. Like he's up there now. Like he's getting close.
Big game. He had a huge game last night.
Yeah. How crazy is that? Like him and his brother, like, are two of the most dominant. Like I think Trevon actually too was a receiver coming out, and then like Nick Saban was like, "No, you're gonna play DB for me," and now he's like on the precipice of being like one of the best DBs in the NFL, just switching his position.
Because you want to know why? He can catch interceptions, man. Half the DBs in the league, they just kind of like bat the ball away. They take the incompletion. He's like, I'm going to make a play on the ball. Now, obviously, he's smart about it. I think that's the difference maker, right? He doesn't get in people's faces and cause PIs. But he had a near perfect game yesterday. I mean, they just dominated the Eagles pretty much on all fronts because – look, if the Eagles were scoring consistently in that game, it didn't matter because the Cowboys have so many options on offense that they will kill you in every single way. We saw Dalton Schultz was the guy yesterday to do that.
Yeah.
Zeke had a big game, but CD and Amari were pretty quiet. I think CD had a couple big catches, obviously, to set him up. But it's not like Dak had a massive game. He just had an extremely efficient game, 240-ish yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and only 5 incompletions. That's all you can ask him to do, especially in a division game against a team that people were pretty high on after coming off a relatively close game against San Fran. That we saw the Packers, have to struggle a little bit last night. So, the Eagles, I think they are a growing program. Hurts was throwing dimes there in the last, garbage time out to the sideline. But I know Zoo. I'm pretty sure the Eagles.
I was expecting a superstar performance from Jalen Hurts against the rival, man, and he was atrocious, man. That garbage touchdown was beautiful. Like whatever, the game was already over. But man, oh man, he was horrendous. He missed so many deep throws. I don't know if you remember. It was down the right, going for a touchdown, man. He completed a 38-yard pass to Dallas Goedert.
Yeah,
and he threw one close to the end zone, and he just missed him.
Yep.
He missed the wide receiver. I think it was like Jalen Reagor or someone like that. He missed the throw to have an ultimate start of the game, but he missed it. And that was not him, man. His O-line did his work. He didn't get touched. He just missed the throw, and that's what makes or breaks good and great QBs, man. And he's still just a runner right now because his athleticism keeps him on the field. Because that arm, you can't miss throws like that, man. That was embarrassing, and it's a division rival game, so even more pressure.
What about the fact they only had 3 carries to running backs the entire game?
What is that? Miles Sanders got 27 yards on 2 carries, man, and then they stopped running the ball.
I mean, granted, they were going down, but I mean, at the end of the first quarter, it's 14-7. You definitely get more than 2 carries in at least one damn quarter.
Yeah, I don't
let alone a whole
all.
game.
Weird.
And then they started, they pulled Sanders towards the end in garbage time. Gainwell had a couple nice catches. I do like his upside as a backup running back there, but man, it was a rough game to watch. It should not have been a 20-point difference. It should probably have been about a 30 to 31-point difference, man.
Yeah, that game was
without that garbage time touchdown. But hey, man, I'm happy to see Zeke get in the end zone a couple times. He didn't break 100, but he had a much better game than he had been having.
He looked good, man. He looked good.
Season. He looked solid. That's reassuring me as a Zeke holder in fantasy. But look, man, there were a couple other games that I thought the Bills just destroying Washington was.
Washington
it was their defense is.
I thought
good,
their defense. Yeah, I thought their defense was to be good. I don't know what happened.
Sucks.
Yeah, and they just got obliterated by Josh Allen. I mean, Diggs is just running around in circles around these guys, man. And Zach Moss actually had a nice game. Still impossible to pick between Singletary and Zach Moss if you're trying to start him in fantasy because it's one or the other, and you're never probably gonna guess it right. So, but that was an emphatic win for the Bills. And I don't know. The AFC East, they just kind of struggled this past week besides Buffalo. I mean,
Mac Jones didn't look good. None of the rookie quarterbacks are playing well.
Yeah.
None of them are.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know one.
They're throwing a lot of picks.
Yeah.
I
feel like Trevor throws 2 or 3 a game.
Trevor had one night. He had that one nice touchdown throw in the first half.
Yeah.
Where they were actually up 13-7.5 against Arizona after that miraculous Chris Davis-esque field goal return on that 109-yard kickoff or field goal return. Absolutely ridiculous. I was very happy that Gus Johnson was on the call for any of you Gus Johnson commentator fans because you all know he goes ridiculous. So it was nice to see the Jags have a positive moment, I guess. But yeah, Sean, you're totally right, man. And don't even get into my boy because I don't even think that was his fault. Justin Fields, man.
You can't single up any of the because I watched the condensed version of that game, and it's like, well, hell, if you're gonna have Myles Garrett singled up on anybody, he's gonna beat him.
Especially a 38-year-old Jason Peters.
I almost wonder if it's like they just were like, did Justin know he was gonna start like that week?
They're so indecisive.
Because it didn't seem like they had a game plan for him. They just was like, hey, we're just gonna play, see what happens.
Because they never let him. They did 3-step, 4-step drops the entire game, meaning he's just sitting in the pocket around arguably the worst or second worst offensive line behind maybe the Jets. And what do you expect the guy to do? You don't run any bootlegs to get him out of the pocket. You don't run any option plays. Obviously they kind of had to get away from David Montgomery. Look, the Browns have an unbelievable front line, so I can't say that, I was that surprised. But still, man, 8 sacks. You can't move the ball at all. They had less than 50 yards total.
Man, didn't Garrett get like 4 sacks himself?
Yeah, he got 4 sacks himself.
Yeah.
And look,
pad game.
And the funny thing is that the Bears were in it in the first half. Khalil Mack had 2-3 sacks in the first half. But the thing is, man, is Nagy does not adjust at halftime. He talks about after the games every single time as if we just got to watch the tape, find what our issue is. It's like, nah, man, you got to figure it out during the game and make the adjustments. I'm on the fire Nagy train personally.
Well, I'm trending that way now. Like I was kind of like defending Nagy, but I don't know. After that game,
absolutely not, man. He has been this way for nearly 2 years. He hasn't been able to call a good offense to tailor to what he has, not to what he wants to have. Right? That's the difference. Nagy thinks everybody can fit to him, but he's got to fit somehow to his other players. So, look, man, if they have a horrible offensive game against Detroit this coming week, I think he's gone.
Yeah. Really?
I do.
Really?
I think
I have a question for you. Do you remember the head coach, Mark Trestman?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that dude was atrocious, and he coached there for multiple years. So the Bears do not like. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was only there for 2 years, man.
that's a lot, man. He was atrocious
more than
since year
Nagy.
one.
That's more than
How long has
Nagy.
Nagy been there?
Nagy's been there since 2018, man. So this is his fourth season.
Yeah.
They've made the playoffs two out of the 3. Probably going to be 2 out of 4 after this year. But look, the only reason they made the playoffs last year, and I hate to say it, is they decided to put Mitch Trubisky back in, and that saved their season.
Mm-hmm.
He won them 2 in a row at the end, and that snuck them into that extra wild card game. So Nagy's going to take the credit for whenever they do well, and he's going to kind of lay the blame on the film and just, we got to figure it out. It's like, nah, man, you can't just say we're picking between any one of the 3 quarterbacks he said could start this coming week. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's
at least cut it down to 2, and that should be Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. Let's be completely honest, because look, Andy Dalton has played better than Fields has in the gameplay that they've had. Not saying by a long shot, but he's actually able to throw touchdowns, move the ball, because he can read defenses. He can check out of blitz packages that he sees, right? Call a better play. That's just not where Fields is at right now. And when you have the 31st offensive line ranking, what do you expect him to do, man? You got to at least let Fields run the ball for 60 yards like they allow Hurts to do. So I have nothing else to say about him. Horrible week. But then again, the Browns are an unbelievable defense.
That's an elite team, man.
They're elite on defense. They got all 3 levels.
No, they're elite. Like, they're a complete team. Like, complete.
Yeah, they are.
They don't have any holes.
And the funny thing is they were actually able to play, and not much better, but at least run the ball better against the Rams than they were against this Browns team. So, you never really know with this team. I think Nagy just needs to start going to Fields and saying, what are you comfortable with doing? How do you want to get out of the pocket? And maybe he'll start making some plays. I mean, that's all you can ask him to do.
That's what the Eagles, I feel like the Eagles coach does that with Jalen. Everybody, I think, understands Jalen is like, and I think that is to your point about coaching. Like, you go to your player's strength. Most of the coaches who are Lamar Jackson's a perfect example of that. Look at Harbaugh. He made a whole 180. He had Joe Flacco for years, and then he got Lamar Jackson. Like, okay, we're going to go to his strength.
Exactly. And that's why he's been the same coach, or the coach of the same team for 13 years.
Yeah.
That's exactly why he's willing to put his ego aside and say, oh, maybe my system isn't perfect for everybody. But Nagy's just never been able to do that.
To me, it's all about self. Yeah.
It's all about ruining his second first-round quarterback.
Yeah. Well, if he doesn't figure it out, he'll definitely be out of there because they're not going to just cut Justin Fields.
No.
So Nagy will definitely be out of there, and they'll probably hire another hotshot OC to come in there and work with Fields. I kind of want to pivot to a team that I wouldn't say is on panic mode, but they got to start dusting off the alarms because the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking kind of shaky. I think Big Ben is pretty obvious this is going to be his last year. Because they just have too much skill talent. They have a first-round running back. I know everybody's talking about the offensive line, but I don't see a path where Pittsburgh can get any better with Big Ben being back there. I know TJ Watt's hurt. I don't know how long he's out, but I think the defense always figures itself out in Pittsburgh, so I'm not ever worried about that side of the ball. But with Big Ben, I just don't see, like, if you notice any of the games that he's been playing, he don't throw the ball down the field anymore. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, there was one play where it was like 4th and 10, and he literally just checked it down to the running back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what is that? I saw that. I was like, wait, what? And it's like, go make a play. It's like, no, he's like 6-7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, is he that hurt to where he can't really put power behind the ball or throw it accurately down the field? It's going to be really interesting because Pittsburgh has always figured it out and gotten to the playoffs. They just always, they have a winning record every year. They just figure it out. And I feel like a lot of it's tied to, I get Tomlin's position of like, this guy won me 2 Super Bowls. It's like you're just tied to the hip and you just kind of got to like ride that horse till it, I guess, falls off a cliff. But I don't see a path for Pittsburgh to where they could, honestly, in that division, it's not crazy to say they finished last. Especially what the Bengals did to them last week.
Yeah.
It's not crazy to say that.
Well. They played well. Their only loss is to the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, they played 2 great games. I mean, they played the Vikings, obviously, who we already talked about. Mm-hmm. And they go in and, I mean, they just abused Big Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they had 5 sacks. I know their O-line has issues. But to me, the biggest thing was the Bengals' offensive line didn't allow Burrow to get touched. I know that they're without TJ Watt, but that doesn't mean that the Steelers' D-line is, not to be messed with. They're still damn good. But they're also missing, some of their key wideouts and some of their weapons. Juju went down, Deontay Johnson's hurt. Chase Claypool is just he's not a number one. I think he just, kind of like Robert Tonyan last year, he just got the touchdown bug. And that's kind of why he popped off. Not to say he isn't talented, because we all know he is. But is he a true number one yet? Not really. So they're kind of in a tough spot. I agree with you, Sean, especially after only putting up 10 against the Bengals.
Their offense is ugly to watch.
It's all Nagy Harris.
And legit, like Najee Harris. I think he's really good at football for like running back. I think he's really good. Their O-line is so bad they have to give passes to him because he can't run behind that O-line to get him some touches. And man, the dude got 14 receptions because their O-line is so bad and they wanted to use him. Taking a tuck him to him to pretty much using him as a running back that way to get him some better looks than using the O-line the traditional way. And for your fantasy owners, that's quite beautiful with 14 receptions. But in real life, it's quite ugly because that ain't getting it done. That ain't getting done. And Big Ben, man, all his contemporaries, Eli, he's on ESPN doing commentary. Phillip Rivers, he's hanging out with his 20 kids at home. So I feel like Big Ben's time for him to come on home and retire, man, because all his contemporaries are gone. And pretty much when I watch him play, it looks like he's ready retired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see a path. Like I said, I don't see a path for the Steelers to where they can get better because, like you said, their schedule is one of the toughest in the league. And just with the patchwork offensive line and Big Ben, it's going to be tough. That's just going to be a wild scenario to see, Week 14 and see the Steelers at the bottom of the division because you just never see that. Mm-hmm. And it kind of speaks to what the division has done with, Lamar is a great player. I guess you could say the Browns with Baker, he's been consistent, but they filled all the other voids of their roster to where they're a complete team. But the Bengals, if you kind of lightweight look at them, they've done a lot of good job drafting guys. Like you said, they got the tackle guy from Oregon, or not guy from Oregon, but they got, I don't know why I say that, but the Jamar Chase got him as a threat. 3 receivers that they got that are really legit. You got a bell cow back in Joe Mixon. Joe Burrow's coming back from the knee injury. I think that's the biggest revelation is he's come back and he's kind of played. I wouldn't say to the level of what Joe Burrow is, but he's playing at a high enough level to where they're winning games. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a division you kind of got to keep your eye on because right now I would say most of the divisions, even though it's week 3, you kind of have an idea of 1 to 2 teams who are going to be fighting in that division. I would say the AFC West is going to be pretty – I don't see Kansas City being last in that division. I don't see that at all. But it's Denver, the thing with them that makes them weird is that their defense is really, really good. And Teddy don't do he's not going to win you a game, but he's not going to lose you the game. So the thing with Kansas City is they have the worst defense in that division. And like you say, Sunday, as you said, if Patrick Mahomes is not on and he's doing, throwaway, no look passes and trying to be flashy, that's going to lose you a game. And like you say, you do that in that type, you may do that game against the Browns because that doesn't count for your division, but you do that against a division opponent and they beat you. Well, now you got to go to the Chargers, whatever week they do. So it's that kind of puts you in a win now mode. Like I said, I always feel like their offense is going to be great, but their defense is so bad. I don't know. Because it's feasting season when you're playing the Chiefs. It's feast season. Everybody's going to eat. And you got to think in that division, Teddy, I don't know how much he would eat, but Herbert's going to eat and so is Derek Carr.
Yeah.
So that's two teams right there. You got to make sure see if you. I think, like you said, I think with their offense, they just kind of been able to overcome it. But it's going to be interesting to see how they respond and bounce back. Who do they play this week? I'm not sure.
The Chiefs play this week.
Yeah, who they play this week? Eagles.
Jalen Hurts season.
Yeah. Starting him again.
Yeah, he's gonna feast. He's gonna feast.
But Andy, who did you decide not to start when you play Jalen Hurts because that's a bad man?
Aaron Rodgers? No, yeah. Jalen Hurts outscored him this week, even though he was awful.
Did he end up
by 2 points?
Oh, that garbage time, man.
Garbage time got it.
But I had to shout out another. You were talking about possible close divisions, Sean. The NFC West, man. We got the Seahawks at the worst. at 1-2.
Yeah.
Got the Niners coming off a heartbreak.
Dude, that game was incredible.
Juszczyk just needed to go down. That's all he had to do.
Nah, man. You see the end zone, you got to go in, man. Aaron Rodgers had less than 40 seconds with zero timeouts. Zero timeouts, and he just did something.
Those throws were crazy, though, that he made. Man. Like that first one that he made over that linebacker, like that is just ain't nobody else doing that. Yeah.
No. And he's so calm. You saw him on the sideline with 30 seconds left. He's like, looks up. He's like, yep. Sounds about right. I've done worse.
And both those passes were to Devontae Adams, and I feel like he was concussed.
Oh, no, he definitely was concussed. That hit was crazy. And I don't know how that wasn't flagged.
Yeah, they missed that. That was
he got smacked on that play. Man. So he definitely. I feel like a lot of those guys be concussed. They just let him back in.
Yeah, he goes in, makes 2 elite catches, and then Mason Crosby is the game winner. That was an incredible game. Incredible.
It's actually a good week for kickers. The Atlanta kicker made a really clutch kick too. Against the Giants.
Hoku hit a game. Oh, yeah. Nah, that game was
my God, that game was bad. Atlanta is so – Matt Ryan is another one. We need to start having conversations about, like, I don't know if I mean, I know I guess they're 1-2 or whatever, and they could have a chance to go 2-2 this weekend, but he for him, like, he's got pretty good weapons. Running back Cordell Patterson's a revelation that came out of nowhere. He's been killing at running back, catching and running.
He's like a dual threat on that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's basically a low-key RB2 flex, especially in our league, because he's been consistently getting like 15, 16 points.
Yeah.
So
he's kind of up there with Chase Edmonds. They're on the same.
Man, I should have started him over Miles Sanders. I would have won. Freaking Miles Sanders.
Well, I don't know what that was with the Eagles. That I don't know if they were thinking because they were getting down that they had to just keep throwing. But yeah, that is, especially with Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, I don't think throwing as much as he did and not running the ball is part of the formula. I think running the ball and doing passes out the backfield is helping Jalen more than hurting him. I don't know what was going on with that. Maybe that was just an oversight, but I don't know. I think Hurts has a chance to bounce back really well against the Chiefs.
Oh yeah,
this week for sure.
Could be a shootout if he can make a deep throw. Yeah. It'll be a shootout. And if they run the ball more than 3 times with their running backs, because we know they can play well. So
they did beat Atlanta, so I'm starting to like after this week if Jalen and them don't play well, I'm like I might have been a product of Atlanta because they didn't really do anything against 49ers and Cowboys. Yeah,
that's true. Very true.
Oh man, but Sean, I'm gonna make fun of you every week. The Jets play. So, man, what happened to your Jets again, man?
First off, I'm not a Jets fan. I'm going to keep saying that. I don't like the Jets. Even though one of my college roommates, shout out to Brandon, huge Jets fan. It's cool with what's their little fireman Ed? I think that's his name. The little mascot guy. He's really cool with him. So shout out to him. But didn't watch the game. Saw they got shut out. Like I said earlier, man, none of the rookie quarterbacks are playing well.
2 picks again.
I mean,
granted, one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah,
keep that in mind. But then again, the Broncos have only played the worst teams in the league, in the Giants, Jags, and Jets now. So that's why they're 3-0. Let's be honest.
Yeah. They're gonna. I don't know who they play this week, but it's probably gonna be a better test of who they really are. I don't know, man.
They play against Baltimore Ravens this week.
Yeah, it's gonna be a better. It's gonna be a better test. I don't know. I used to have faith in like thinking, okay, here's how the quarterbacks for the league or for the rookie class is going to shape out. And I was thinking Zach Wilson is at least going to be in that top 2. But I have no idea after this week who's going to be what. I really don't. I don't know what Zach Wilson's going to be. I don't know what Trevor's going to be. Trey hasn't played. Justin kind of just got thrown in the fire. Mac Jones, even though I think Mac Jones one of his picks wasn't his fault. Like he was checking down. He went throwing the ball down the field. Like his stat line looked good. But if you watch that game, he was just like Josh McDaniels is only good with Tom Brady. Let's go ahead and say that. He's not good with anybody else. So, I mean, they wasn't really doing anything creative with Mac Jones. So, I have no idea.
3 picks.
Yeah. 3 picks. Yeah. Trevor, I think, had 2. I just don't know. Trey Lance is looking like the only one because he hasn't played that's like got a chance to be.
It doesn't even count, man. The dude plays like 2 drives a game, man.
Yeah. He's like the only one, though, that you can't really criticize because he hasn't played yet.
True.
Like the Davis Millis guy from Texans looked like trash, even though he wasn't a hot pick. So I don't know. The Jets definitely have been a victim of injuries. I just think they have no other option but to play Zach. So I don't know. I think next year when they're drafting in the top 3,
O-line,
I think O-line's going to be their choice because they got to project their asset. I mean, I like Michael Carter.
I think he could end up being it. They just don't have an O-line.
Yeah. So
a lot of injuries.
Go Jets, go. How about the New York teams too? Had won a game this year. I think they're both 0-3. That's crazy. Talk about a fall from grace. I mean, it's more so. I would say it's more indicative of the Giants because at least the Giants have had more a stable history of winning. And I think a lot of that has to do with Saquon just not being who he. I don't know. It's probably gonna take him a whole year to get back because they always say like once you come back from an ACL or whatever, it takes you a full year to play like you're gonna really play. So
unless I don't know, like Peterson.
Oh yeah, but he's the
anomaly.
Cyborg. That's what he is. He's not even.
Yep.
It's not even a real human. Which is it's still amazing how fast he came back and was still like super explosive. I don't know. I guess some ACLs heal differently in different people.
Yeah.
Who knows?
7 months.
Yeah. Certain people it's just different, but
and they won MVP.
That is very true.
That'd be like if Burrow comes back and just wins MVP, or Saquon or something like that. That's just ridiculous, man. Obviously,
Burrow tore a lot though, didn't he? Tore like ACL, PCL. He tore a lot of ligaments.
I think he tore at least 2 and maybe partially tore a third, something like that.
Yeah, that's what makes his play this year that more impressive because he's been way better. I didn't think he was going to be anywhere towards the level he's playing right now, but I guess it goes to the talent that the Bengals have and their head coach too. So, sorry, NFL Week 3 wrap up. You guys that are listening to the show, we're going to be always talking about the NFL. It's going to dominate most of the conversation. We're going to be going into October, which is kind of going to be NBA preseason, a couple of storylines there. Pretty sure NBA is going to start like around the middle of October. So we'll sprinkle in a couple games. They're going to have that first week of games where it's marquee games and stuff like that. But, we're going to be heavy NFL as usual. Make sure you guys follow us on bullheaded_pod, putting up the greatest content that I can find on that channel. Make sure you subscribe to our Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor. Got the links working for Google Podcasts. A lot of these places are doing change-ups with their podcasting information, so I've been updating that so you guys can listen to that. And as usual, for me, Zoo and P. Bush, we're out.